Hi, I'm Pam and welcome back to my channel. Recently, I made a Facebook marketplace purchase of a circa 1920s games table, and that in turn has inspired me for today's baking adventure, which is a pineapple upside down cake. Now, I know a lot of you probably think about the 1950s, the 1960s when we talk about pineapple upside down cakes, but they actually became popular back in the 1920s. Now, as most of you know, pineapples were considered a luxury item. Only the ultra wealthy could afford them back in the 16th and 17th centuries. In fact, for the most part, they often didn't even eat them. They would simply display them as long as possible just to show off how very, very wealthy they were when they had big dinner parties and other luxurious gatherings. It wasn't until the early 20th century, the early 1900s, that pineapple became something that was accessible to more and more people, including your average home cook. And that was all thanks to canned pineapple. Back in 1925, the Hawaiian Pineapple Company had a recipe contest, and the winning recipe was submitted by a Mrs. Robert Davis. We don't know her first name, we just know her as Mrs. Robert Davis. That was conventional at the time for married women, was to go by their husband's name. But she was from Norfolk, Virginia. She was the one who submitted the pineapple upside down cake, and that was the winning recipe. There are so many versions of this recipe in dozens and dozens and dozens of cookbooks and magazines and what have you. But it's very common, very popular. The version I'm going to use is from my trusty Fannie Farmer cookbook. This is the 1990 version, and there was a 1996 version that was printed as well. And then I don't think there have been any versions after that. So we're going to go ahead and use the Fannie Farmer version of the classic pineapple upside down cake. And while it's baking, I'll tell you all about my games table. I'll be putting the recipe down in the description below for those of you who might want to try this at home. But it essentially calls for 12 tablespoons of butter, so not really a dietetic dessert, half a cup of brown sugar, quarter cup of pineapple juice, 5 pineapple rings, 5 maraschino cherries, a half a cup of milk, 1 egg, 1.5 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, a half a cup of granulated sugar, and whipped cream, which is optional. So the recipe gives you the option to put it in a pan and then put the whole pan in the oven, but I don't think this is oven safe. I don't have an iron skillet. So what I've done instead is I've put my 8-inch cake pan. It calls for either 8 or 9 inches. I've put that inside this right here, my skillet, and I'm going to melt the butter in here. So the first step, of course, I've already preheated my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm melting 4 tablespoons of butter here in my cake pan, and once that's melted, I'm going to go ahead and stir in the brown sugar. Butter is nearly melted. I'm going to go ahead and add my brown sugar, which I've already pre-measured. So this is 1 cup of dark brown sugar, and of course brown sugar has still a lot of the molasses in it, and if it's dark brown it has more than the light brown. In a pinch, I suppose you could use light brown sugar, but I went ahead and grabbed the dark brown at the store. Now I'm supposed to stir this in until it's all dissolved. Upside down cakes, we think about them, I think a lot of us, in terms of becoming popular in the mid-20th century, but not so. Upside down cakes became popular back in medieval times, back in Europe, and of course, eventually, American colonists brought them over, and they were done in pans because people back then often didn't have specialized cake. Oops, let's keep this from moving. Specialized cake pans. So they just dump everything into one pan and bake it that way. It's kind of annoying that this is moving around as much as it is. So if you choose to do this at home, and if you have an oven-proof pan at home, I would recommend that you give that a try. This is a little awkward, but it will work out. And that's bubbling nicely, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat and add the pineapple juice. Half a cup of pineapple juice. I'm actually going to take it right out of my can of pineapple. What's nice is that pineapple now comes in its own juice. Heavy syrup too. But this way I did not have to purchase a separate container of pineapple juice. So here we go. Half a cup of pineapple juice is going. Ooh, sizzling. Let's give that a stir. Ooh, that's starting to harden up pretty quickly. The recipe now calls for 5 pineapple rings, conveniently in a can. 1, 2. 9-inch might have been a little bit better, but we're gonna make this work, you guys. Okay. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Next step is to put the maraschino cherries in, 1 in each hole of the pineapple slice. I'm not a huge fan of these. I know that they're an integral part of the cake. They give it its colorful look. I was looking for a smaller jar at the store, but this was the only size they had. So fortunately, Duke likes maraschino cherries, so he can have the rest. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and remove the cake pan from my skillet. Oh, I almost lost it. Yikes. We got it though. We got it. And just move this out of the way temporarily. Okay. So that's ready for the next step. The next step being melting the rest of the butter, 8 tablespoons, which is here in the United States an entire stick. 4 ounces, 113 grams for those of you on the metric system. I know a lot of Europeans wonder why Americans didn't join the metric system back in the 70s. Honestly, I don't know. You know, as I'm doing this today, I'm sitting here wondering if I'm going to be feeling any of the aftershocks from the earthquake that we had here in our area a week ago tomorrow. It was a little disconcerting. I have not felt anything like that in many years. I know people who live in California, to them, they were like, what's the big deal? You know, we have a lot of Californian transplants in this area, and they thought nothing of it. I was a little freaked out. It was 5.7, and the epicenter was only maybe 10 miles or so from where I live. So it was a little scary. People online today are saying that they're feeling aftershocks, but I haven't felt any. I'm hoping nothing happens while we're making the video. So we'll see what happens. And the butter is melted, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat. Next step is to add a half a cup of milk. I didn't have any milk. I don't really drink milk. The only time I ever buy it is if I am using it in a recipe like this one. So I had to run out to the corner store and buy a little bit of milk. So stir in the milk and the egg. Pop that right in. And now it's time for the dry ingredients. Okay, so we're just going to mix all of the dry ingredients into one larger bowl. A half a cup of regular granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt. Go ahead and give all that a bit of a stir. Nice and smooth, no visible lumps. And now it's time to marry the batter with the pineapples and the brown sugar mixture in the bottom of the cake pan. That looks pretty good. I am a little bit concerned about how much juice there is rising up on the sides of the pan. So when I put it in the oven and the oven's ready to go, it's been preheated here for a little while, I'm going to put it on a baking sheet and I'm going to bake it for 35 minutes or of course until the toothpick comes out clean. And while it's baking, let me take a few minutes and tell you a little bit about my games table. I don't always have a lot of luck on Facebook Marketplace, either selling or buying, because both sellers and buyers can be kind of squirrely. They don't always get back to you, and sometimes when they do and you respond again and then they just ghost you. But this time I had a lot of luck in purchasing this, what was advertised as a 1920s game table. Now, I did a little bit of research about game tables, and I'm not 100% sure of when this was actually created, manufactured. So I'm going to trust the woman who sold it to me. And if it is indeed 1920s, then it's definitely an antique at this point. And it's something that I think really, really fits in with my decor here in my 1930s cottage. Game tables have been around since ancient times, back in the days of ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, Rome. They played games like backgammon that was very popular at the time, and they created gaming tables for that purpose. And then as the centuries rolled on, game tables were adapted to accommodate other games, card games, poker, gin rummy, that sort of thing. And what makes this table unique is that it actually folds out. In addition to being a games table, I could probably also use it for extra seating when I do have company over for dinner or what have you, and I don't have enough room at my dining room table. So pull it out. Now, you can't just flip it open the way it is. You actually have to turn it so that the entire other leaf is fully supported. And what's really cool is this internal storage space. So you could store decks of cards, poker chip, and now flip. And voila! The table itself, it's actually in really good condition. Of course, there are some scratches, a couple of watermarks here. Really not bad. I love these cup holders here on the corners. And back in the 19th century, there was a gaming table called Biedermeier. It was a style. And what was nice about the Biedermeier style was that when you weren't using it, you could fold it up like mine does and put it up against the wall as a decorative side table until you're ready to use it. Assuming this table is truly from the 1920s, some of the games that might have been played on it were potentially gin rummy, hearts. Anyway, I just wanted to take a few minutes to share this with you just because I'm so excited about it. I feel like it gives the space not just a little more dimension, but a little more elegance. It fits the space perfectly. It's just gorgeous, and it's a wonderful place to display my little collection here. And there's my supervisor hanging out on top of the fridge. All right, let's go ahead and do the toothpick test. It's been in the oven for 35 minutes. Got my toothpicks in this cute little restaurant ware creamer that I purchased from my friend Jeanette at her Gray Barn Antique Shop in Andover, New Jersey. Just a shameless plug for my friend's business. And we're gonna put it in. Comes out. As you can see, there are no wet crumbs, no wet batter on there. So that's ready to go. Gonna go ahead and let it sit here for another 10 minutes on the wire rack, and then we'll turn it out onto a plate. Okay, our 10 minutes is up, and let's go ahead and flip the cake out of the pan and onto the plate. See how it looks? Pan is still a little hot. And now the moment of truth. Look at that. Looks pretty good. The edges did burn just a teeny bit. I probably should have taken it out of the oven just a little bit sooner, but other than that, it looks perfect. And when Duke gets back from his errand, I'm going to have him do a taste test. All right, Duke is going to taste test the pineapple upside down cake for me. He's going to cut himself a slice. How does it smell?
It smells delicious. Better than...
Have you ever had pineapple upside down cake?
I think I have, but not made by Pam.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's moist.
Oh, the word I hate the worst. Does anybody really like that word? The M word.
Okay, so what do I need to do here?
Just take a bite.
I'm admiring the crisply bottom.
Yeah, the bottom's crispy.
It's good. It's not burnt, really.
Well, I already told them that it was a teeny bit burnt on the edges, but that's okay. How is it? Good.
Very good.
Yeah. So what does it taste like? Describe the flavors.
Well, we have the tart pineapple, sweet, and the buttery rich cake.
Oh, all right.
And a caramel crust.
Yeah, that was nice. That was brown sugar and butter and all sorts of good things.
And of course, it goes from hard to dry to soft and gooey where the pineapple is.
All right. So would you eat this again? And there you have it, a successful pineapple upside down cake. Again, the recipe is down in the description. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next time. Thanks for joining us.